Good evening and thank you for staying with us right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku and these are the top stories. Efcc denies having Yahaya Bello in its custody. Yahaya Bello's media team insists he was at EFCC amid conflicting statements. Kaduna Governor Sani breaks silence on probe of predecessor El Rufai. Tambuwal's aide remanded for sharing governor's WAEC result on Facebook granted bail. And PDP governors, a National Working Committee resolved to remove Wike's loyalist Damagum as acting national chairman. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The news begins with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission denying having the embattled former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, in its custody. Now, according to the statement released today by the EFCC spokesman, Dele Oyewale, Bello is not in the custody of the anti-graft agency and remains a wanted man. The EFCC added that the subsisting warrant of arrest for Bello over an alleged 80.2 billion naira money laundering charges remains in place. Media reports, according to the EFCC, quoting today that a former governor of Kogi State, Mr. Yahaya Bello, is in the holding facility of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC is incorrect. The commission wishes to state that Bello is not in its custody. End quote. The position of the anti-graft agency differs from an earlier statement from Bello's media office, which claims the former governor honored the EFCC invitation after consulting with his family, legal team and political allies, asserting that he has nothing to hide. I sincerely do apologize for that break. Now, the position of the anti-graft agency differs from an earlier statement from Bello's media office, claiming that the former governor actually honored the EFCC invitation, a history of resistance from Bello, who had previously evaded multiple EFCC invitations and faced a dramatic scene at his Abuja residence. The EFCC had even obtained a warrant for his arrest, but intervention from his successor, Governor Usman Ododo, had staved off immediate action. Meanwhile, the media team of former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, has reiterated that he was present at the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission headquarters despite conflicting statements from the anti-graft agency. Earlier, Bello's team claimed that the ex-governor honored the EFCC's invitation following consultations with his legal team and political associates. However, EFCC spokesperson denied that Bello was in his custody. In a subsequent statement, the director of Bello's media office, Ohiari Michael, clarified that the former governor was indeed at the EFCC office accompanied by his successor, Usman Ododo. Now, here is what Yahaya Bello actually stated. Yahaya Bello, through his media aide, had actually disclosed that based on the 80.2 million naira money laundering charges, he stated that he was at the Economic and Financial Crimes Office today. Also, Mr. Bello is alleging that after his visit, he was asked to leave. I read, the EFCC did not, however, interrogate him as officials told him he could leave. We don't know what this means yet, Mr. Bello's media team wrote, adding, as we write, Alhaji Yahaya Bello has left the EFCC office. He was accompanied there by the governor of Kogi State. A few hours after Mr. Bello's first statement disclosing that he honored the commission's invitation was reported by several news outlets today, the EFCC then issued a test statement to deny having the former governor in its custody. In a two-paragraph statement, the news of Mr. Bello surrendering to the EFCC is incorrect, according to the EFCC spokesperson, Dele Oyewale. Now, neither confirming nor denying if Mr. Bello surrendered himself to the EFCC today, the statement added that the commission wishes to state that Bello was not in its custody. End quote. Now, still on the world news at 6, the Kaduna State Governor Abdulsalami has broken his silence on the ongoing investigation into his predecessor's administration, Nasir El-Rufai. The northern leader has dismissed claims of a vendetta. In a televised television program monitored, Governor Sani emphasized his cordial relationship with El-Rufai, describing him as a friend and brother. Governor Sani acknowledged the efforts of all former governors of Kaduna State, including El-Rufai, stating that each had done their best to govern the state. He clarified that the investigation was initiated by the State House of Assembly and he had not interfered. The investigation into El-Rufai's administration centers on allegations of a 432 billion naira fraud. The Kaduna State House of Assembly launched a probe which many read as a silent battle between El-Rufai and his successor. El-Rufai's relationship with the All Progressives Congress and President Bola Tinubu's administration has been strained since he met with opposition leaders, including Rabiu Kwankwaso of the New Nigeria People's Party. Meanwhile, Mr. Umar also had shared a video of the governor struggling to deliver his speech in English. Now, Mr. Umar accused of sharing a document that indicated that Governor Aliyu failed his senior secondary school examination as he scored F9 in English language. The prosecution said the defendant circulated a video of the governor's wife, Fatima Aliyu, spraying money during her birthday ceremony despite the present hardship faced by citizens. Now, ruling on this application, the magistrate also ordered that the surety to Mr. Umar be a resident of Sokoto and that the accused person deposits his national identity card along with 2 copies of passport photographs in the court. The magistrate adjourned the case to the 10th of October for a hearing. The magistrate ordered that the defendant should be remanded in a correction facility until the bail conditions are met. Still on the world news at 6, Nigerian governors elected under the platform of the People's Democratic Party and the National Working Committee of the party have resolved to sack Ilia Umar Damagam as the acting national chairman of the party. Bauchi State Governor, who doubles as the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, made the revelation on Tuesday night shortly after meeting with the party's National Working Committee. He stated that he was made the acting chairman of the party following the removal of Iyocha Ayu as the national chairman in June 2023. Speaking on the leadership crisis rocking the main opposition party, Governor Mohammed, who addressed journalists shortly after the meeting with the party's National Working Committee, said it is a constitutional aberration for Damagam to remain in office. He said the North Central would be given the opportunity to complete the tenure of the former national chairman Ayu, who hailed from Benue State. You're currently listening to the World News at 6 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into a news analysis segment. This time around, I actually will be joined via the telephone with Barrister Eze Eluche. Barrister Eze Eluche is a political, national and social affairs commentator. Barrister Eze Eluche will be giving us his own insight into some of the questions that will be posed at him. To kindly stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. This is still the World News at 6, and I have Barrister Eze Eluche joining us via the telephone. Barrister Eze Eluche, good evening, and thank you for staying with us on the World News at 6. Barrister, can you hear me? Barrister Eze, can you hear me, please?
I am hearing you. I'm saying thank you for the invite.
All right, thank you, Barrister Eze. Barrister Eze, I want to start off with Yahaya Bello. His case has been quite controversial, and I must tell you that there's been quite a lot of talk concerning his honoring the EFCC's invitation at his office. Now, earlier today, we saw a report of Yahaya Bello being accompanied by the current governor of Kogi State, Usman Ododo, to the EFCC office today for questioning concerning his 80.2 1.2 billion naira alleged money laundering charges. And then, of course, later this evening, we saw a report from the EFCC disclosing that Yahaya Bello is not in its custody and that he is still a wanted man. It was quite confusing because we have from Vanguard just earlier today, Vanguard was saying that Yahaya Bello did not even come to the office voluntarily. Vanguard said that according to a source within the EFCC, that there was a sting operation, a sting midnight operation where Yahaya Bello was arrested. Okay? Now, we also heard from Premium Times, because I need to put out all these outlets. They all gave us their different, stories based on their source. Now, on Premium Times, because apparently Yahaya Bello's media team released two different statements today. The first one being that he voluntarily attended. He went to the EFCC office today based on negotiations between him and his legal team to actually honor the invitation and respond to the questions. Well, Yahaya Bello is alleging that a few hours, right, because after they disclosed the first statement, EFCC then came to deny that he's not in their custody and that he's a wanted man. So what Yahaya Bello said is that he went there today, and that when he went there, the EFCC did not interrogate him. They told him he could leave. Sorry, sir. They told him he could leave. They said, we don't know what this means yet. So we are seeing conflicting statements concerning Yahaya Bello's presence at the EFCC today. What's your take on that?
Well, it's unfortunate that anybody has to say that there are conflicting statements. We should learn to give some credence, some belief to our security agencies. This is a Yahaya Bello who for several months now has been a fugitive from the law. He's been running away from the law. He's been hiding himself. And then all of a sudden he shows up and begins all these stories, dropping stories in the media houses. I am tempted. I believe what the EFCC is saying. Because ordinarily, somebody would have expected a character like Yahaya Bello, the loquacious and flamboyant character he is, he would have organized a press conference as he was approaching the EFCC. So all this stuff of him showing up with the EFCC, I will believe the EFCC in this instance, because a fugitive will not just come up and say he has surrendered when the agency which is expecting him does not know where he is. So this is just, he has planted stories in the media. He's trying to be bombastic about it, and I don't know what his ultimate goals are, but let us bear in mind that Yahaya Bello is a fugitive from the law, a rascal element who went to court, who used all manners of approaches, used senior advocates of Nigeria to try to avoid appearing before the EFCC. So why, for goodness sake, should anybody give any credence to any nonsense he talks about now? I am tempted to believe the EFCC for now. Whatever happens tomorrow, let it happen. But for now, I will believe the agency that is in charge of investigating such criminality and not give an iota of regard to the words or utterances of a fugitive from the law.
Barrister Ezelichi, are you saying that all the conflicting reports we heard today are plans from the team of Yahaya Bello to distract? Because several reports, he said he voluntarily came in this morning. Later, he said he got there in the presence of his with his legal team, and that while he got there, the EFCC asked him to go. They said he's free to leave. Then later, we saw the EFCC saying that he's not in their custody, he's still a wanted man. Then later, we heard that it was a sting operation, that contrary to what Yahaya Bello is saying, that he voluntarily presented himself today, that he did not voluntarily present himself. Vanguard said that there was a sting operation at midnight and he was arrested. So are we saying that all these conflicting reports circulating all over the media is not true, and that the only verifiable statement made, because the EFCC spokesman wrote it out there, is the fact that he is still a wanted man? If Yahaya Bello can publicly come out to disclose all of this, why is he still a wanted man? Are we saying that his location cannot be verified? So you mean a wanted man is brazenly circulating different information across several media outlets, and the EFCC do not know his location, and they're still declaring him a wanted man?
I mean, I repeat again, this man is a fugitive from the law. If you look at his antecedents, he's been running helter-skelter, doing all sorts to avoid presenting himself before the regulatory agency, before the investigation agency, the EFCC. So for him to now wake up one morning and start telling all these cock and bull stories, You know how Nigerian media is. It's very easy to plant stories in all the media houses, and they all carry the same version because none of them even had any investigation capabilities. None of them has shown us today's pictures. So the fact
but
is
for Vanguard, they said a source disclosed to them. Premium Times is saying something else.
I choose to believe the EFCC because of the antecedents of this Yahaya Bello. Because ordinarily, a fugitive from the law like him would have announced in advance that I am going to show up at so and so place, so that everybody will be aware. But now, as it is, I am tempted to be. I'm never a fan of the EFCC. I have severally criticized the EFCC, but in this instance, for goodness sake, we have to give them some credence. Let this man show himself up. And if he has disappeared, that's his business. He's been disappeared for several months. That is how these things work. You don't become a fugitive. You don't be a fugitive. Then at your they can call. You say you are showing up, and then nobody knows where you are.
But it's quite surprising that if a Yahaya Bello can put out all of this, suppose according to you, all of this false information across several media platforms, because today they have issued 2 different statements, it means that he can easily be located. Because I don't understand why the EFCC will be saying he's still wanted and he's brazenly actually circulating all this information. So with all of this, they cannot apprehend him. They cannot arrest him. Their intelligence agencies cannot track him.
No, I mean, let us be factual.
They have not set up a team to actually track him down. Because what is his backing? What is Yahaya Bello's backing? What is his spine for doing this? We've seen how the security agencies apprehend persons. Ajao Estate, the SND of Ajao Estate here is still in Kirikiri, still in prison, still in custody after a year. The Secret Intelligence Agency apprehended him for the statement he made. This is Yahaya Bello, who is being declared as a fugitive, even put on a wanted list via Interpol. And this man is brazenly putting out information to the media, and you're telling me that the EFCC cannot track him? What is going on?
Well, what is going on is that there's been a charade for a long time. I mean, the man came to the EFCC office, he was whisked away by the governor. His security personnel were shooting guns. The police was. So it's a charade. But this is not what they should disturb Nigerians for. Whether they get him or not get him. All the previous governors who've been arrested, how much has been recovered?
Nigerians are bothered about it. The hashtag End Bad Governance protest. The DSS went and caught a private investigative journalist whom is known as PDOM Nigeria. They took their time, tracked this guy to where he was residing. I'm telling you, they track people's social media handles. They blocked their cryptocurrency accounts. You can't tell me that security agencies cannot apprehend this individual because they know what to do when they have to do it. So I think Nigerians want to know, is it that the sting operation of our security agencies and our prosecuting agencies only applies to a majority but does not apply to a few? Because a certain set of persons who supposedly have what you would call maybe some presidential influence or political connectivity, they're excluded from this, what do you call the aggressive motion of our security agencies. But then when it comes to ordinary Nigerians who basically do not have that connectivity or that connection, then of course they can expedite action. It's what a lot of Nigerians want to know. That is why people are asking, how come up till now Yahaya Bello has not been apprehended? How come up till now he's not been found? That's the question a lot of Nigerians want to actually understand. Barrister Eze Eluche, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, so we also have this information concerning former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Ibrahim Babangida, Abdulsalami, also Atiku as well. These individuals recently met, all right, in Mina, Niger State, in Babangida's house, and the idea is to see how they could sanitize the People's Democratic Party, so that when that happens, then they can get a strong presidential candidate because of what is currently going on within the administration, or would I say the issue with the APC. So we're having contradictions as to why these individuals met together, and according to them is to fight the inadequacy of this administration. Barrister Eze, can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm here now. Yes.
What happened? I kept calling you. Okay, so can you respond to the question now, please? We're running out of time.
Okay. Yes, go ahead. No, I mean, it is the same about Yahaya Bello. I said, look, the whole thing about Yahaya Bello is a charade. This man is from the ruling party, and we know how lackadaisical the Efcc and the government is about prosecuting their members. So they should not bog Nigerians with this nonsense about where he is or where he's not, because even if you bring him out, nothing will happen. I mean, that's my own on this. But I believe, I opt to believe the FCC. A man who has been a fugitive cannot just tell us he's now with the FCC. And the FCC says we don't know where he is. But that is not the problem in Nigeria, yes.
All right, Barrister. In a deft move to unseat President Tinubu in 2027, the trio of former Nigerian leaders, Olusegun Obasanjo, Ibrahim Babangida, Abdulsalami Abubakar, and top military brass, they're actually looking at a different direction. All right. Now, you remember that on Sunday evening, we saw reports that Obasanjo had landed at Niger State, Mina, to see former military leader Ibrahim Babangida. Apparently, based on the situation, these three influential former leaders and the former National Security Advisor, General Aliyu Gusau, who met in Mina, Niger State, were there to strategize on how to take over the People's Democratic Party. Because according to an impeccable source, which was privy to Platinum Post, they said the details of the meeting concerning the top retired generals had two major agendas, which were to rescue the party structures from Wike and search for a suitable presidential candidate that would defeat the incumbent president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Do you think anything substantiable will come out of that?
It is most unfortunate that Nigerians are looking at these old men, very old men, who have been part of raping Nigeria for our salvation. It is most unfortunate. Look at the people you are mentioning. They are all treasonable felons. They are all coup plotters. Olusegun Obasanjo, Abdulsalami Abubakar, or Ibrahim Babangida. Of what relevance are these characters who have expired to Nigeria? So let the youths of Nigeria look at those. They should not even look in that direction. Nigerian youth should take their destinies in their hand and do what they want to do with this country and not rely on such characters. These guys are all billionaires. And you ask yourself, what have they done? What productive thing have they done in life? If not that they earn their loot from stealing from the public purse. All of them. None of them has to be productive for one day. They are all, maybe they earned their billions from stealing from the public purse.
Well, they said the reason is because they were the pioneers. They were the ones that set up the People's Democratic Party.
Nigerians, it's a time we should call a spade and let these men go and retire in their local village or wherever they come from. They have messed up Nigeria for enough time, for too long. And that's really the stance of Nigerians. But you see, when these media characters keep on pursuing them, to know who they are meeting with, to know where they're sleeping. For what reason? These guys are in 80s or 90s or 70s. They are expired men. If the young people of Nigeria, those in their 20s, 30s to up to 50, cannot think of how to repair this country, and they rely on these old cargoes, then there's no hope for Nigeria. But there is hope in the sense that the young people should take their destinies in their own hands and repair Nigeria, and not rely on these characters.
So you're saying that regardless of what the meeting is all about, rather than relying on these former generals, according to you, who are old now and may not be actually active to do anything, the young persons should become more active. But you realize that recently these young persons have been so distracted with several tribal sentiments, by which of course is being thrown or spearheaded by the supposed old political leaders that you talk about. So if the young persons are not engineered or motivated to pursue this, well, the old persons, don't you think they would continue in their stride to remain relevant, as you said?
No, that is what the young have to decide, because these men have expired. And then the media, that's why I'm even pained to be talking of such characters at this stage. These guys should be with their great-grandchildren in their various villages. We don't need them in this era now. Other countries are electing young people who are in their 30s or in their 40s or even 20s. And we're talking of 70, 80-year-old men that they are going to meet. Who cares what they meet for? They can go and meet and drink palm wine or whatever they do in their old age. But Nigeria's got to move forward. And the pace Nigeria will move forward cannot be dependent on these characters. If it will be dependent on these characters, then they will only fashion something that will cushion their loot. But we need to move Nigeria forward, and part of moving Nigeria forward means to extract or to take back what these guys have stolen from Nigeria and use it to advance Nigeria. So, for goodness sake, even the media should desist from following these characters. Let them travel to wherever they want to travel. Yes, for now they are okay. But ultimately, we must learn to move Nigeria forward. And that the prosperity, the future of Nigeria is minus these characters. Because they put us in this mess where we are for now. Thank you very much.
Richard, thank you so much for joining me on the World News at 6. I sincerely do appreciate your input.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. To wrap up here again are the top stories. We have EFCC denies having Yahaya Bello in its custody. Yahaya Bello's media team insists he was at EFCC amid conflicting statements. Kaduna Governor Sani breaks silence on probe of predecessor El-Rufai. Tambuwal's aide remanded for sharing governor's WAEC result on Facebook granted bail. That's a wrap on the World News at 6. My name is Esther Machuku. Good evening and thank you for listening.